welcome to Only a Podcast. Two blokes upside down and many miles from home talk about popular culture and unpopular culture too. Books, music, films, the news, what we had for dinner last night, everything is fair game. We've no idea what we're doing or why, but we're going to do it.
Kia ora koutou. Hello everyone. Welcome to episode 30 of Only a Podcast, the best of 2022 episode, I guess. Yeah. Say hello, Captain.
Hello, Captain. Hello, folks. Yeah, everything's cool. Everything's all good. That's a quick apology to make for last time for saying that the star of Wednesday was Jenna Ortega. I should be castigated for not.
Is that why all of our podcast customers have been asking for their money back this week?
I guess that's the one.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Do your research.
All the ones that pay, they'll get their money back. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah. What have you been up to? It's nearly Christmas. It's 21st of December as we record this, so
it seems to have
all set and ready for it.
Yeah, that's mainly the thing. It seems to have. I don't know. This is hurtled up on to us out of the blue. I mean, you see it coming. You think, plenty of time, and then all of a sudden it's like, 4 days to go. We better think about what we're going to eat.
Do some business, yeah.
Stuff like that. So, get running around. So we were running around a bit today, and I should be doing a lot more running around tomorrow.
And you've got to buy 40 days worth of food, haven't you? Because the supermarkets are closed for 12 hours.
Yeah, so. No, that's just terrible. You should see the toilet paper we've got stacked up. It's just, oh dear.
We haven't got through our COVID toilet paper yet.
What is it about that? What is it about that? People think there's got to be a shortage of something. The first thing they think about is, I'm not going to be able to wipe my bum. Never mind.
Bonkers.
I've got enough food to eat, but no.
Yeah.
I need to stay clean down there.
Down there?
No.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, eh? And I've got to be honest, since living here, I don't really bother with Christmas at all. It's just doesn't feel like Christmas. So it's very low key affair for us. We've done all we have to do. It's pretty straightforward. So it's pretty easy, which is good, because back home it's so commercialised. There's so much crap you have to buy. Yeah. You feel you have to buy, or you just buy the same crap you buy every year. I mean, I had a Christmas, big shopping list in my phone in Google Notes, Keep Notes, and I've used that same shopping list for probably 10 years in a row in the UK. I just buy exactly the same things every single, because you have to, don't you? You got to have Quality Street, and you got to have this, that, and the other. But it's a bit different for us now.
Have you got a Terry's chocolate orange?
No.
No,
I haven't got one of those. No,
not vegan.
Not a big fan.
No, I've had what is called in my part of the north a bake-up look, and some of the presents under the tree. And a bake-up look, for those who don't know what it is it's you pick up the presents and shake them and squeeze them a little bit just to see what it is. I don't quite know why it's called that, but it's obviously people who are not from Bake-Up and don't trust those people in Bake-Up who sneak looks at Christmas presents. And there's a lot of nice eatables under the tree, I think.
Oh, nice.
From what I can work out.
Lovely. Yeah, good. That'll all be with us in the next few days. We have got British Christmas weather here, though, at the moment. It hasn't got above 10 degrees this week. It's a bit weird. It should be 20.
Down there,
it's freezing down here,
we've had the usual inches of rain, but today has been very nice.
Good.
So that's good.
Good.
Finally.
So we've had a bit of bad news in the last couple of days, haven't we? We've lost a couple of people. RIPs. The main one, of course, being Terry Hall. An absolute legend, really. It was quite a shocking one because quite young. He's only 63 or something, wasn't he? And a short illness. I don't know exactly what was wrong, but it was a short illness, and that was that. So obviously you go looking back. I mean, I regularly play two-tone stuff. That music has never left me. I mean, I was about 10 years old when that was around, and that's never left me. I just thought And I listen to it today and I think, God, how lucky I was to have that sort of music at that age.
Yeah.
Because I think it was groundbreaking. I can't think of many examples of, white and black people in the same group playing kind of rock and reggae and ska and all those things. A complete mashup of, a culture clash. And then you had the two-tone thing and you had the likes of UB40 and bands like that. And that I don't think had happened before. I can't think of many examples.
No. And the Rock Against Racism gigs mixed.
Yeah.
For example, the Rots playing with Misty and Roots and things like that. It was rife at the time. Yeah. And a breath of fresh air, really, although it did confuse a certain type of skinhead. Yeah. Mainly the racist ones.
I think Madness and some of the two-tone bands really struggled with that, didn't they? Because Madness especially, they kind of attracted unsavoury people to their fandom, didn't they? Which they didn't want. No. That was a really, really sad one. And going back, you think obviously Terry Hill, you think of the specials, but the other stuff he did as well. He went more pop, more mainstream, and it was great. Some really great stuff. Yeah,
Fun Boy 3, Colourfield. Yeah. I was listening the other day to one I haven't listened to for an absolute age, Terry Blair and Anushka.
Yeah,
That's a terrific little pop album, that one. I completely, you wouldn't have imagined him producing anything like that, perhaps, but listen to it all, folks. It's really good.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
The recent specials things as well, but sort of harking back to the early days, poking the eye to politics, really. Great stuff. I saw them in 2009 when they came over here. That's terrific stuff.
Yeah, I never got to see them, unfortunately. And also yesterday, or today, depending on where you are, a lesser known name, but someone who I am quite aware of, someone called Martin Duffy, or just known as Duffy, who was a keyboard player started out in Felt back in the 80s as a very young, described him a prodigy, really, a teenager in Felt, the cult heroes Felt. He then went on to be in Primal Scream. But then I first became aware of him 96, I think it was, when the Charlatans keyboard player, Rob, can't remember, Rob
Collins.
Yeah, Rob Collins. He died in a road accident about 2 weeks before they were due to play with Oasis at Nebworth. And Martin Duffy came in and filled the spot. He's a Hammond organ player, really. So he came in and filled that spot. So that's how I first became aware of him, because I was there. And then I know him, I've seen him perform quite a few times with other artists. He used to play with Edwyn Collins quite a lot, and a few others who I can't remember, but I've seen him as a keyboard player for hire with quite a few other bands. And very, very much universally respected by everyone in the business. If you look on Twitter, it's all there, isn't it? Yeah. There's been a few deaths, haven't there, related to Primal Scream over the years. They've not been too lucky in that respect. And there was another one today, and I don't know if you've seen this, Ian Templeton, aka Tempo, the drummer from the Lars and Shaq.
All right.
Wow. Yeah, obviously not such a household name, but he passed away today as well. So I've had 3 in 24 hours. That's not good, is it?
No, it's not.
It got me thinking to all the RIPs we've looked at this year on this podcast, and I didn't go back and check them all, but there seems to have been loads.
We were mentioning last time that it's kind of our time, our heroes.
Well, maybe, the older, slightly older ones, yeah. I see Charlie Watt's wife passed away this week as well, didn't she?
Yeah.
A lot of sad business going on. And as I said on Twitter yesterday, and I say it whenever someone like this dies, why is it there's a lot of really shit people in the world? Why don't any of them die? Do you know what I mean? There are some really rotten people about at the moment who are, just motor mouths. I'm not going to name any names, of course, but people that have been in the news this week for being horrid. Why don't people like that die? It's always really nice, well-respected people that die. It doesn't seem fair, does it? But there we go. Let's not talk about death anymore. It's Christmas.
No.
This week we've been going through all the previous episodes of this year separately, not together. We haven't gone through them together, and we've each come up with their own sort of highlights of what we've talked about over the year. So there'll be a bit of all the categories: music, TV, films, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So we'll do a quick culture catch up before we start that, shall we? About stuff that we've watched or consumed since the last episode.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I watched, and I don't know if you got round to it in the end, Avatar, the original Avatar film. No. I thought I'll better watch that because there's a new one out and, blah. So I watched it. I think I hit my boredom threshold after about 20 minutes, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not really my cup of tea. Clearly, it was a great film. I sat there and it was on, and I was kind of following it, and it's got a great message, and obviously the technology behind it's incredible. But I did feel like I was just watching someone playing a video game rather than watching a film. But
yeah, hasn't it got that? Really, it's got that sort of high frame rate thing going on, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
That makes things look like they're games.
Yeah, not quite real. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
so I didn't really dig it. So I didn't. I won't be seeing the second one. I know my girls went when I saw the second one today. They thought it was great, but
it's not for us. It's not for us, Terry.
It's not for us. Not for us. No. But there you go. So you didn't watch it, or did you? You were going to? No.
I don't know. I don't know. I think there's lots more things that I'd rather watch, to be honest. And the new one is 2 hours 40. I start to get annoyed. I get annoyed when things are that long these days.
Yeah, I think the first one was 2:40 as well. I think.
It's too much time.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can't say it in 100 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not worth doing. Anyway, we'll see.
So I watched that, and I haven't really been. I don't know. I haven't really been doing much else. That's about it.
No. No.
Yeah. What about you?
No.
Anything exciting?
Not particularly. No. I did. With it being Christmas and having lots of time off, we did a round of the charity shops to see if there were any books in there, and I managed to pick up Andrew Marr's History of Great Britain for $2. So I thought that's cool. So I've been starting in on that. I've also got some from the library, which are a bit more easy reading than that. But I'm enjoying it so far. Yeah.
Good. Don't tell us what happens at the end.
No.
No spoilers.
No. But he wrote
Good
it
to
in.
think.
I think it's a 2009 edition, so it goes up to there.
Bits happened since then, eh?
Quite a bit, yeah.
He'll be working on volume 2 right now, yeah.
However, I have been to see a film.
Oh,
which leads us into Film of the Year, because it might well be one of those. No, it will. It was great. So shall we do our Film of the Year?
I haven't really. Yeah, go on. You start.
I'll just pile in, eh?
I'm doing it slightly different to you, I think, but yeah, let's just go.
Okay, cool. No worries. Last week, I went to see The Banshees of Inisherin. And it was packed. So we only just got in. And then I learned that the reason for that is it's actually out on Boxing Day over here. And they were just having a preview day, which I didn't look at. So I thought, let's go. So we went, and we just got in. I was sitting right at the front, and I don't like sitting right at the front. Yeah. So, but anyway, there we go. It's Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, two fine actors who were in Bruges, if you remember that. Same director, Martin McDonagh, and the story basically is that they are two friends in a small village in the west of Ireland, and Brendan Gleeson decides that Colin Farrell is boring and he doesn't want to talk to him anymore. And it's he's come to that point in his life when he's got much more important things to do than drink beer at 2:00 every day and be bored to death by Colin Farrell. And it all develops from there because Colin doesn't really understand. It's Colin's character. Doesn't really get it. It's like, why? What's all this about? And it develops in a black and slightly gory way in places, but it is funny. It's kind of like it is supposed to be an island out there. I think it was. They filmed it on a couple of islands over there, and it's like Father Ted on opium. But the main, I won't go too deeply into the story, but it's what happens as as Brendan Gleeson's character tries to sort of fend off Colin Farrell as he tries to remake Friends with him. And it's a bit of a polarising film, because I discovered that I've never had so much interaction coming out of the cinema with people checking on what I just saw. What did I just see? And so whether other people liked it or didn't like it, to sort of verify their own thoughts about it. And we were discussing it with a couple all the way back to the car park. We were just trying to get in the car, and we were still talking about it. It's an amazing thing. It is black, it is dark, it is funny in places. It's quite slow moving, but that's all right. Great performance from Kerry Condon as Colin Farrell's sister as well, and I wholeheartedly recommend it. But didn't just quite sneak into my best of the year list, but I would recommend it. If you don't mind, just a little bit of gore.
Yeah, that's definitely on my list. That one, over the holidays.
So cool. So I was flipping back to the things that I talked about. And there was Benediction, the Secret Sassoon film, the Finna, which is the sort of biographical film of Finna Cooper, the Maori activist. Elvis, of course.
Yep.
All the Get Back Rooftop concert was out this year, wasn't it?
Ah, it was too.
He thinks just the IMAX bit, and the other one that was an IMAX presentation, although I just saw it in an ordinary cinema, was Moon Age Daydream, the sort of David Bowie. I could hardly describe it as a documentary. It's a sort of weird fever dream kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
But I think the one I liked best was the completely bonkers Everything Everywhere All at Once, starring Michelle Yeoh as a sort of woman who realises that there are several dimensions to her life.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Bringing them all together. Well, that's the one I liked best this year.
Cool. Well, for me with films, I mean, I don't really watch films, certainly not as much as you do. So I just went with a couple that I've seen at the cinema that I really liked. Elvis, again, that was quite polarising, wasn't it? A lot of people really didn't get it or didn't dig it. But I did. I thought it was great. I thought it was very entertaining. It was probably, a bit contrived and a bit schmaltzy, but I really enjoyed Elvis. That was a good film, and I'd watch that again. So that was that was a one. And another one that stood out for me was Nude Tuesday, which the New Zealand film about the nudist retreat, which was very funny indeed. So those were the two films that stood out for me this year, really.
Cool.
That's great. What you got next? Should we go music next?
Go on then.
Go on. Well, again,
album.
Again, I haven't done that. I haven't rated anything. I've just kind of revisited a few bits and pieces. I think, as I said before, my Spotify Wrapped for the year, but my top played songs and top played album was Emily Capel. I really have enjoyed that album a lot this year. I've played it a lot. Unfortunately, she just announced earlier this week that her album, which was due out early next year, and her tour have both been postponed, and I'm not really sure why.
No.
So that's unfortunate, because I was looking forward to the new album. Other albums that stood out was, we went through that list of Mercury nominees, and I did listen to them quite a lot, which was really good. And I think the one that stood out or stuck with me out of that lot is Bernard Butler and Jessie Buckley. I've really enjoyed that album. I've been watching
Same
a lot.
for me, I think.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Yeah, and I don't know if you ever watch any clips of them on YouTube performing live, because I think that's when they're at their best. I think they're one of those acts that are really good to watch, rather than just listen to. So I've been watching a lot of their live shows. So they've done some really small, little, almost like PA type appearances around the place. But all good. The Revolver reissue, of course. Yeah. Which was interesting, wasn't it? And I think it was better than I expected it to be. I liked that a lot. And I need to also mention Penny Fleck, our mate Joe.
Yes.
That was great.
The best album made by someone we actually know.
Yeah, because I never got around to finishing it.
It's better than that as well.
Yeah.
It's great. I'd said all the socials. It's great when your friends are doing something like that, a project like that, and it's also great when it comes out so good.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. It's great stuff.
Yeah, because you just don't know, do you?
No.
So yeah, that was really good, Joe. You should be very proud of that, you and the guys. So well done if you're listening.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it for me for music, really. So I'm sure you've got more interesting stuff to say than that.
No, I don't know, quite a lot. I do the blues and soul albums, Mavis Staples and Leave on the Helm. That's a sort of that was out this year, although it was pressed from a concert that was a few years ago, I think, called Carry Me Home, double album. That's great. I actually bought that in proper vinyl. And the other blues one was the Ry Cooder and Taj Mahal one. It's like they were in your front room. That was really great. Called Get On Board. Michael Head's been doing some good work this year, the live album and the Dear Scott album. A couple of early on ones that I liked, the Neela Fayanya one, which seems to be getting on quite a few lists. It's good when your choices are verified by other lists. Yeah. But the one I think I played most was X Propaganda, The Heart Is Strange. That is actually the band Propaganda from the 80s. But they stuck an X in front of it, and it sounds just like they did then.
Brilliant.
Very good electro pop.
Yeah.
With a sort of Trevor Horn production styley, although it wasn't actually him this time around. That's the one I liked. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, cool.
Cool. Okay, let's keep moving because I'm conscious of the time because I think we've got quite a bit to get through, haven't we?
Wow.
I've got a category here, and you might not have the same one, but documentaries. Is there any documentaries that have got So we actually can tell we don't plan this.
No, we didn't plan this.
There's no script.
I've got a TV thing. We can come to that in a minute.
Right.
But no, there aren't actually any documentaries in it.
Right.
Although I did watch quite a few.
Yeah. Well, the documentary that stood out for me was Trainwreck, Woodstock 99. Yeah, the story of Woodstock. I talked about that one here. And yeah, that was quite something as well. If you want to see how badly wrong something can go, watch that thing. Yeah. Go on, carry on. General TV, two great family hits where we all sat around the telly were Stranger Things 4 and the aforementioned Wednesday. Both of those we all, as a family, solidly got into and appreciated. So they were really good. I tucked into Derry Girls 3, which was just as good, if not better, than the previous two. An excellent way to round off that one. The Pistol, of course. Yeah, I've got that one on my list. Yeah,
a terrific thing, and eminently watchable. Dived into that one. But the top two, I am going to commit. I'm just digging into Slow Horses Series 2.
Yeah.
The adaptation of Mick Herron's books about Slough House, the spy novels, with some excellent work from Gary Oldman and Kristen Scott Thomas and many more. Jonathan Pryce is in it. Jack Loudon. Brilliant stuff. But that isn't my top of the year. It's Sherwood, the story of the police procedural murder thingy set in the days of the miners' strike. Excellent acting all round. David Morrissey, Leslie Manville's in it. She was in a film which I did happen to see, not generally my kind of film, but I thought I'll just go. I haven't got anything else to do. So
the Paris one.
Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
Yeah,
I did go and see that, and she was great in it. Great, if there was a sneaky sort of BAFTA Oscar. Maybe Oscar is stretching it a bit, but she could definitely be up for a BAFTA throughout the year because both Sherwood and Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, she was just spot on in both of them. So Sherwood for me is the TV thing that I enjoyed the most this year.
Oh, cool. Yeah, my TV list. Well, I've got Pistol on there as well, and for me, mostly, I mean, we talk about family viewing. I mean, at the start of the year, we finished Parks and Recreation, and then we spent a big chunk of the year on The Office, the US Office. So we got through all that. That's the second time watching it for me. I could watch it again, but and then we got into Arrested Development later on in the year, so that's where we're at now in terms of family viewing. But stuff I've watched, just looking at it here, it's actually sort of follow-up series from stuff I've watched before. So we had the latest series of Afterlife with Ricky Gervais, which is great. In your top two, you said you had a top two. Well, I've got three in my top two.
Go on then.
Killing Eve, which was the final, must be the final series. So I would recommend Killing Eve to anybody. I love it. We had the second series of Only Murders in the Building, which again is great fun, great family viewing, really good. And Sex Education, season 3 that we had, which again is just great stuff. All sort of Netflixy stuff. Oh no, Killing Eve is BBC, I suppose. But there's lots of great telly around nowadays. It's probably why I don't watch movies much. Yeah, there's too much telly to watch, isn't there? Really. But it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, we're getting quite a bit of it from the old country. Comes over here on TVNZ, and
it does.
Yeah, lots of it.
Yeah, it's good. And I've got a section here that says books, and it's blank.
Okay.
I've not done very well with reading this year. I've just not been into it at all. I've only read about 4 books this year. None worth noting, really, so I didn't bother. It
started off like that for me. I don't know whether that was a hangover from COVID or the minor health problems I'd had. A lot of my reading is before bedtime, basically. Yeah. It's just before, you put all your devices down, you pick up a book, and I just wasn't doing even that. I was just conking straight out. So I don't know. I've got off to a bad start this year, so I haven't read quite as many as I normally do. But I've got 2 on the list, and no surprise that it's a Mick Herron book called Bad Actors, which is the latest in the Slayer House series. I could go on about that all day. I enjoyed Frankie Boyle's murder mystery thing, Meantime, which was in quite a lot of places very much like an extended Frankie Boyle sketch, without quite the savagery that he sometimes displays. But I enjoyed that quite a lot. And I did read Shuggie Bain this year, which was, I know it came out ages before that, but I don't know. I kind of reserved it at the library along with about 400 million other people, so it took a while to get to me from the library. So I read that, which is a great book. The very austere, shocking places, but it's a terrific book. But I can't really split either Mick Herron or Frankie Boyle.
Okay, fair enough.
Good books. Yeah.
Well, live music. I haven't really been to any of note this year. There's been a few like local things. We've got the Dunedin Jazz Club, and I go to that. It's great. But not really. Not really been to a big gig.
No, we haven't. We've only been to 2 gigs, which is shocking, really. I have to admit that. We'd normally at least at the half dozen mark most years, and COVID got in the way a little bit, where we had one cancelled. Yeah. A couple of hours before we got there. But a very short time ago, we went to see Sharon Van Etten, supported by Nadia Reid, in the Civic in Auckland, which is a great sort of old-school neo-Gothic theatre. So tons of atmosphere. Not really geared up towards gigs, I have to say, because was all seated, and the spaces between the seats are not very large. So if anyone wants to go to the bar, as they did, I mean, just a quick little beef here. If you're watching the support act and you know that they're on for half an hour, don't you just stay in your seat for half an hour? Yeah, you just get up with 10 minutes to go to the bar. It's like, what the? Interrupting my view. What are you doing? Just sit there. You've only got 10 minutes to go. She'll be finished in a minute, and then you've got a 35-minute interval where you can go and drink all the beer you want. But no. Anyway, Very atmospheric. Nadia did some new songs and some covers, so that was quite a new set. I hadn't heard quite a few of them before. And Sharon Van Etten did some great hits, basically, of hers, ranging back through all her albums. And she's a very committed performer. It was really cool. So, yes, I know I didn't get to see many gigs, but it would have been up there had I seen even more, because it was good.
Yeah.
But we have been to the theatre.
You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. I've got a couple here, although we did go to a couple more. I saw a local production here about dawn raids, which is a dramatisation of as people will know if they've listened to that episode, dramatisation of a time in the 70s when Pacific Islanders were being deported from New Zealand and woken up at a ridiculous time in the morning with policemen and dogs and interrogated as to whether they had residency and chased from their houses and that kind of stuff. Shameful period. Yeah. And a few laughs in the play, of course, but a reminder of those times. And I'm going to have to put that alongside the completely different jukebox Bob Dylan musical Girls from the North Country, which was a bit large format Australian touring company presentation, completely different, but equally good in its own way. So those were my two great theatre experiences from this year.
I had a couple too. I saw a local theatre group production of a thing called Keys in the Margarine, which I talked about on here, which is about dementia. So it's Alzheimer's. It's a story of it's the words of real dementia sufferers and carers, as told through actors, spoken word for word. You know, the actors had an earpiece in and they were being relayed the actual words, the actual recordings of these interviews. So an interesting concept and very, very well delivered. So that was good, worth seeing. I think they do it. They tour it, they go around. So if that comes up, you should go see that. And then just a week or two ago, I went and saw Professor Brian Cox and Robin Ince for a bit of science and a bit of comedy. And that was great. I talked about that just recently. So all good. So did get to the theatre a couple of times, which was nice. It's good for a change. Not something I've done much in my life, to be honest. So it's nice to get out to the theatre for something a little bit different. Yeah. I've got a category here, podcasts. And this is the real reason I never read. Because all the time, over the last 15 years when I would have been reading, I've been listening to podcasts. So that bit where you get into bed at the end of the day, headphones on, podcasts, commuting, anything like that, podcasts. So I just picked a few that I've enjoyed this year. Okay. Top of my list is always Top Flight Time Machine. It's my favourite podcast. I just love it. Top Flight Time Machine. Do give it a try. It started out as a football podcast, but there's much more to it than that. They do deep dives into books and TV shows from the 80s and all kinds of stuff. It's just all kinds of stuff. It's just hilarious. It's very, very good. It's a bit sweary at times, just as a warning to you. Another one I picked up this year, which I guess is what you might call a true crime podcast. But it's a BBC presentation called The Lazarus Heist, and it's about the cyber criminals, the hackers from North Korea. And it's all true stuff. Just fascinating what goes on. Amazing. Yeah. It's big business for North Korea because they're actually quite a poor country. They don't have a lot of income. Yeah. And that's a big one for them. So, The Lazarus Heist, it's like 6 parts or 10 parts or something. That's worth a listen. And Word in Your Ear, again, I mentioned that quite a bit. I think we try to be a bit like them. Battle when something topical happens, if they mention it before we do, but they podcast a lot more than we do, so they usually beat us. I think they're a couple of times a week. They're some of my favourite podcasts anyway. I'd really not I'm not as avid a podcast listener as you, but I did enjoy Alexi Sale's Strangers on a Train.
Which is great. Is what it says on the tin. And basically, the start of it is the train announcer announcing that Alexis Hale is on the train and would like to talk to people. Right. And he just talks to people and distills those conversations, and it invariably kicks up a lot of interesting stuff because they just love to chat to him. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I mean, I've been on board with podcasts since day one. I mean, I don't know when that was. I think as soon as the iPod was invented, then people started making podcasts. But for years now, I mean, it must be 20 years I've been listening to podcasts. So, but it means I don't probably listen to as much music as I should and don't read as much as I should. But there you go. It's all good. Yeah. And I've got one other category, which is called Other, which is really a YouTube channel, which is something you put me onto, which I've really enjoyed this year, which is Justin Hawkins. Yeah. Justin Hawkins Rides Again. It's always entertaining, always good.
It's always good. I enjoy his question and answer sessions. A bit more than I do his dissection of hits or musical tropes or whatever. But he's always more entertaining. I think now when people ping stuff at him. Yeah. I still tune into that one. It's great.
Seems like a thoroughly decent chap, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good lad. So that's everything I've got on my list. Yeah. Have you got any more on yours, or are we done?
I think we're all there. I haven't got any more categories.
No.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I reckon we're going to have a little chat over the holidays about new things we can try and do next year. Different things or whatever. So if any of you have got any ideas or any suggestions, anything we can do, I think we'd like to really get some of you lot involved in the form of maybe interviews, or if you want to record a 5-minute film review on your phone and send it to us, and that's all good, or voice memos, things like that we can maybe try and look at doing. So we can try and get a bit more interactive, I think.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, so I've got a big list of things we might want to think about. So we'll have a AGM after Christmas, and might be a new look and feel to the pod next year. Yeah, but it's been good. We're on episode 30 now, so we've done, I don't know how many we've done this year, 25, maybe 25 this year. We've pretty much been consistently every 2 weeks, haven't we?
Yeah, more or less.
So that's enough, I reckon. That's enough for anyone. Certainly enough for me.
Yeah.
Big thank you to everyone that's been listening and interacting with us on Twitter and Instagram and all those things. Please tell your friends. Or
if you'd like to give us anything for Christmas, it'll be a like or a share or a retweet or one of those things.
And those recommendations on Apple Podcasts, or you can star rate things on Spotify. I think any podcast platform will let you give it a rating or leave a review. So anything like that would be really, really good. Or big bags of cash, or medium bags of cash, or small ones.
In unmarked bills.
Yeah, or bank transfers. So anything like that is cool. So I don't think there's much more to say, is there, Captain?
No,
apart from Merry Christmas, Merry Kirihemeti. Is that right? Have I said that right?
You have,
to you and your whānau. And
have a great time, folks. Have a relaxing time, and don't get involved with, the online world too much. Take this chance to, chill out a bit.
Chill out, read a book, listen to a podcast, listen to 30 episodes of Only a Podcast.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. So, that's all then. So have a nice holiday break, everyone, and we'll see you next year. Say goodbye, Captain.
Goodbye, Captain.
See you later, folks. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
You've been listening to Only a Podcast. If you would like to get in touch and share your feedback and ideas, we'd love to hear from you. Go to onlyapodcast.com, or you can find us at Only a Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, or via our Facebook page. Remember, it's only a podcast.